to do some retroactive work briefly.
Okay.
One is that we skipped over in our time lapse for a few hours or a day or something like that Lothar has prescience.
Yes.
And let's review prescience as a rule set because it's a little bit more complicated than the other psionic abilities.
Oh.
There are options. Mental bolt, zap, right? But these have options. So you have two. One is fairly immediate. It will take 13 seconds minus your index, but so a few seconds to do, where you assess the dangers in a specific location.
I do that all the time.
Right, but here you would enter trance for a minute.
Okay.
So you actually have to kind of zone out for a little bit.
Okay.
So it does...
comes in very handy.
Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind. And then the other one is called prescient vision. And this takes hours. And you will have a specific, you say, what am I thinking about? And then you will indeed have a vision about that.
Okay.
But that takes hours, as I say. So those are your two options. And it seemed to me that if you want to retroactively think of something that you wanted to, you did have enough time.
Yes.
During some of our play.
Yes, and for the moment I'm at in good standing with my family. So,
right.
So I ought to use that.
Yeah, that's something.
Being in a safe place.
Right.
How does it work with the short-term one? Is it the location you're in, or is it thinking about the location? And
there's no topic. You just the location, and you say, is there danger?
Yeah, but when you're at the location.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So you could have used it when you entered the keep and started hanging out with the sailors, for instance.
Right.
Right. Ought to have done that.
Yeah, you could do retroactive.
Well, the retroactive one I'm talking about is if he wants to enter the longer term.
Okay.
Because we don't want you not to have a vision.
Yeah.
If a vision was available to you and you wanted it, right? So the momentary one, well, we played through it.
Yeah.
And that's just what happened.
But I could definitely see this as some recent thing for Lothar that he's just come to terms with, and not realizing that yes, I can do this, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
So do you want to think about the topic for a minute?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Then the other retroactive thing is that or we could just start with it, is that once it's clear that you're not feeling good, that some healing might be available for you at the keep.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good idea because those rolls are not helping you.
No.
And I want to see how the hopeful healer comes to this. And okay. I see. So you would take 50% and then add half of the physician's skill, and then that's the role. So it's really saying that being the physician is open to a great deal of... There's lots of things physicians can't control. So I think they have this kind of weird derived role for it. Because for certain things, the number is a lot lower than 50%.
Okay.
So let's see. Chilled flesh, shivering is the easiest to deal with. Severe frostbite, black flesh, surgery, those are much lower. So considering that whoever they have at the keep to do healing is obviously not an idiot, we'll put them at maybe 80. Then that would be a 90%. So you want... In fact, I think I might even... We haven't situated ourselves in time yet, but wherever it is, let's get this guy handled, right? Because that's one... As soon as Sir Petrin said, okay, that kid... Remember we said you were training in heraldry and things like that that day? There's no way they wouldn't have seen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd be hobbling. Remember, he couldn't go to the party
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's hobbling around,
And I
like,
wanted to.
yeah, and you're like holding your abdomen, right? I mean, clearly you're not happy, so they're going to sit you down for a little while and tend to you. So that seemed reasonable to retroactively fold in.
Can you use physician on yourself, or is it just on other?
Yeah, because I have physician.
Yeah, but maybe
Yeah, but I don't know if you want to use that one.
That's what I
Yeah, also mine's not that good, but I still have it.
Yeah.
So in a pinch, I could do some self-healing.
So questions like that are very fascinating, and in the fullness of time, we should know them. However,
because I'm thinking,
I don't think
I'm
I
out in
want
the
to-
wilderness and
Yeah, I know.
myself.
well, I just might pass you the book.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Because I'm not sure I want to look for the footnote.
Automatic heal.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so that's the heal. Okay, so what's your endurance? 16?
Mine is 16, yes.
16 times 5 is already 80. So your healing roll actually was 80%. So those healing rolls that you kept missing, those should have been 80% rolls.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think one of them was out of 90, I think, but the other one I believe was.
Wasn't that we rolled them times 4, not times 5?
Yeah.
But they should have been times 5 or.
right, because we had to look at this column.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the example was 4.
Oh,
I think that's what we went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems
Well, so that isn't that much different. We weren't that far off.
No.
And so, but now it is a 90% roll if the healing person, the physician that they send to you has an 80%. So let's just check on that.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and roll that, and we'll see.
76.
76. So that's a marginal success. A marginal success is 6 times. It changes the roll from 5 times to 6 times, and so therefore, when you make your next healing check, it will be 6 times 16.
So 96.
Yeah.
Good odds.
Yeah. There it is. Treatment result EE means that this wound will fully heal in 1 day, and a healing roll is not required. So it's basically all done.
Yeah.
You know,
Just sleep and then
Yeah.
and you'll be fine.
you're fine. Yeah, you'll feel better in a little bit. Yeah. Okay, good. I just felt better finding that sentence in the text.
Another feeling.
So those were the retroactive things. Did you have an idea on what you might want to consider?
Yes, but nothing exciting.
That's okay.
Like the first thing that pops up in my and surely in Molotha's mind as well, it would be some safety in the near future. Would that?
That's a little vague.
Yes.
Safety of what kind or from what?
Okay. Okay, read.
I mean, if we're talking about Lothar's life in general, the answer is just no.
that is totally correct.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say it's a sickness then.
Okay. In that case, let's go to prescience, and let's. First of all, what's your skill level? What's your percent?
14, a mighty 14.
That gives you a skill index of 1, which is
it does, yes.
And so it will take 13 hours. Wait, 12 minus 1,
Okay.
which is 11 hours. So you are going to really be out of it for a little while during that time, which in retrospect works okay. We did have a bit of a time skip. Okay, go ahead and roll it. And I don't think it's altered by anything. I mean,
There we go, 77. It's a marginal failure.
marginal failure. Okay. Marginal failure. First of all, you'll lose fatigue, but you'll get it back. Right? That's
All right. Yes.
That won't be a problem. Because this is retroactive. And it says an E1 shock roll when you fail at this level. And how do you lose? Oh, you can't possibly lose an E1 shock roll.
that's only one die.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you have severe penalties of some kind.
Yes.
So when we look at shock,
I guess I have taken fatigue from.
not if you were sleeping for 11 hours, you have it.
Okay, so I don't take it immediately after the failed roll.
Oh, I see. You do take it immediately after the failed roll.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say after that, since this is retroactive, what we're doing right now, it was recovered.
Is it like 11 minutes or something like that?
It's not. Yeah, all you needed was a short rest
Yeah.
to continue sleeping, and you would be fine.
Little did you know that you were dead the whole time.
That's right. There are ways for this roll to be modified, and ways that you would be penalized for it. But I think that, the chance is okay. So that's why E1 is not nonsense. But most of the time, it's not a big deal.
Unless when you really need it.
Yeah, in those moments, as we can see, that injury and fatigue can really run up and catch you.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think that we have finally caught up with those things. So, as we move into day 10, we have... let's see here.
But that also led me to I had no idea, but of course Lothar has been seriously ill when he was small and sickly, and now so he still has got some kind of a fear of sickness, more than ordinary.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Hypochondriac.
He can't afford to be, but relatively.
I would also like to know just what you plans to do for the evening. Because, and also I know I keep talking about as if you were headed back to, but you keep saying no, and I keep realizing that it's just stuck in my head somehow, and I need to give it up. So it's your job to tell me what your character does.
I'm still looking out for Train, the alchemist.
You do want to head out there.
Yeah, and I was probably trying to head back to the shacks and see if he left anything.
Yes.
Because then I could use my psychometry
and
find him.
Okay.
Or I could also perhaps just trundle along the path and see if I find something is lost on the way, of course. But I'll start with the little hamlet or what's...
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm heading back there.
Okay.
That's funny. You had a plan, but then again you were absent mind.
Yeah, so I just wander off. What's that?
Wait, what was I doing?
I'm going to go in that direction until I'm not doing that anymore.
In fairness, you were distracted by encounters.
Yeah. Goats and
patrols.
Yeah, goat patrols.
Exactly. Now there's a role play.
In space. Definitely. I'd say that.
Don't make me laugh while I'm drinking, you bastard. I'm gonna choke.
I have some context for some other things, and all this is leading into finally rewarding your critical success in your intrigue, which is no joke. Healing tables are brutal. Reduce injury points by 1 for a marginal success. Reduce injury points by 2 for critical success, which seems very ungenerous. But what you're really looking for is to find a healer and get that EE. That's what you, and also they'll make your chance go up, like yours did. But still, thanks a lot. All right. So I'm kind of interested for the nighttime because you were going to head back, but it was still...
It's in the middle of the night. I'd probably just hunker down by a tree or something, trying to make myself inconspicuous and eat the food I gotten. So
survival, for sure.
Yep.
And not to mention possible encounters. Oh, that's what I needed.
16.
Oh, you have the skill.
Yeah, I have it, but it's 16, so I have it technically.
16 better than me.
Should I roll? Yeah. And I make it.
Yeah, no problem.
if unless fatigue, but I shouldn't be fatigued anymore, should I?
No. You're, that's the point. You got to. The fatigue is gone.
I removed it last time.
Yeah. And so
Nice.
so good.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Right. Yeah. The quality of a lean-to, build fires under difficult circumstances, and the like, which in this case would be covering up and staying warm and not
dying
of exposure, and also there's no encounter.
Perfect.
You at last Fergal gets a break, right?
Score.
Yeah. So your fatigue can go,
Yeah.
and you had some injury, right?
Oh yeah.
So we need an injury. We need an injury check for
Yeah.
you. So in that case, but that was another fall. That was another.
It was the fall.
It was the fall.
Yeah. And I tried to heal it once and
Right.
it did nothing.
Well, we're going to give it the chance again,
Yes.
and also, now I'm
So it's times 5 this time.
right. So it's 5 times endurance.
Okay.
It's the-
So yeah. So 60 endurance, and just roll, and I make it critical.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh.
Oh, critical too.
Yeah.
So you get 2 injury points off. So that's good.
Yep.
Well, so you even made that the survival check with your
Yes.
penalty,
Yeah.
Yes,
which
it
is awesome.
Did exactly. No,
Yeah. And so
Well,
then you
well,
were
that's
able to
important
sleep
too,
through the
though.
night, and you feel a little bit better. You're like, ooh, I need that. I need that woman who gives good back rubs, right? I need that lady, right?
Quite a ranger.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And let's see, we did you. We'll pick you up in the morning as well. Okay, so that you guys will be picked up in the morning. You will be, I think, picked up in the morning, having a decent, night at the inn, if I'm not mistaken, if we didn't miss something. And then we now dial it back to your intrigue.
Yep.
Oh, there are so many things.
All right. I'm ready.
Okay. So the first thing is that there is this statuette is of a somewhat idealized and perhaps overly humanized artistically draconic figure. So it stands like a person and is somewhat curvaceous in a way that a human finds pleasing. It's clearly female. But it's a statuette, so it's not really detailed. It's more like arty. You would put it on a coffee table, and it's curvy and pretty. And so is also you're from the area, and all of you know about the creatures called mare dragons, although none of you have ever met one. They live out in the marshes. They're huge. They weigh a couple of tons. They, they're not the size of a room, but they are elephantine. And they are rumored to be full of, dangers, wisdom, and they avoid people strenuously. So it's almost a trollish kind of idea. The mer dragons live out there in the marshes, And so this is a very idealized or attractive version of one. And the interesting thing about a thing of silver like this, as an art object, that's fine. A very rich person might want it. But more importantly, that can be melted. That can be minted. And the essence of crime in any organized way, because any other way they just call government. But the essence of crime in this culture is that you take coinage that's minted by that earl and you melt it and you bootleg it to be minted by another, which is which is extremely valuable to the locals, because that means that they can placate and appease whichever authority, seems to be most powerful. All of a sudden they have, oh, look, we're very loyal. You see, we use your money.